Christ is risen. Indeed, he is risen. I'm Father Kevin Long of St. Elias Antioch Orthodox Church in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Today is Saturday, April 26th, 2025, and here are the readings for today. A reading from the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 3, verses 11 through 16. In those days, while the healed lame man clung to Peter and John, all the people ran together to them in the portico called Solomon's, astounded. And when Peter saw it, he addressed the people. Men of Israel, why do you wonder at this, or why do you stare at us as though by our own power or piety we have made him walk? The God of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob, the God of our fathers, glorified his servant Jesus, whom you delivered up and denied in the presence of Pilate, when he had decided to release him. But you denied the holy and righteous one, and asked for a murderer to be granted of you, and killed the author of life, whom God raised from the dead. To this we are witnesses, and his name, by faith in his name, has made this man strong, whom you see and know. And faith, which is through him, has given the man this perfect health, in the presence of you all. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. John, chapter 3, verses 22 through 33. Let us be attentive. At that time Jesus and his disciples went into the land of Judea. There he remained with them and baptized. John also was baptizing at Aenon near Salim, because there was much water there, and the people came and were baptized, for John had not yet been put in prison. Now a discussion arose between John's disciples and a Jew over purifying. And they came to John and said to him, Rabbi, he who is with you beyond the Jordan, to whom you bore witness, here he is, baptizing, and all are going to him. John answered, No one can receive anything except what is given him from heaven. You yourselves bear me witness that I said, I am not the Christ, but I have been sent before him. He who has the bride is the bridegroom. The friend of the bridegroom, who stands and hears him, rejoices greatly at the bridegroom's voice. Therefore this joy of mine is now full. He must increase, but I must decrease. He who comes from above is above all. He who is of the earth belongs to the earth, and of the earth he speaks. He who comes from heaven is above all. He who bears witness to what he has seen and heard, yet no one receives his testimony. He who receives his testimony sets his seal to this, that God is true. Glory to thee, our God, glory to thee. I think one of the greater cliches of this day and age is that everybody wants to make a name for themselves. That is such an interesting ambition. And it sort of makes sense, because we would like to be remembered. We would like to be remembered for doing something good or something powerful or something, well, at least memorable. Now, elsewhere in the Gospels, our Lord refers to John the Forerunner as the greatest human being ever to be born of a woman. And so in that understanding, we see that John indeed is one of the greatest people because of the way that he lived and because of the power that he was able to exert, bringing so many people to him to be baptized in the River Jordan, to receive a baptism of forgiveness for their sins, the things that they have committed. His life was one that was completely and totally consecrated to God, and that is the major point. In today's gospel, we see that St. John says, I must decrease that he may increase. John is, of course, speaking of Christ, saying that Christ is greater than he is, and therefore his popularity, his power needs to diminish, because Christ deserves all of the glory, not just a part of it. And isn't that the way of all Christians? See, I think that is perhaps the most important message that we can get from John the Forerunner. It is a message that should echo in our own minds. Because do we really need to make a name for ourselves? Or would it be better, as we saw earlier this week, that our names are written in the book of life? This is the great calling of all Christians, to empty oneself completely and seek the glory of God, and that glory alone. And in so doing, we do exactly as St. John is doing in this particular gospel. We are decreasing that Christ may increase. Now, does that mean that we get relegated to oblivion and no longer exist? No, because that is not our way or our understanding of how things work in God's heavenly kingdom. Yes, we are united as one in God, but we never lose our individuality, our personhood, really our hypostasis. Individuality perhaps is not the greatest term to use because it speaks in objective terms. An individual is one that could be understood by the characteristics of a person, but personhood goes into the fabric and indeed the very soul of the person. So when we think about us and what we are called to do, we will become by grace what Christ is already by nature. And so indeed we will be one in God, but one united in him but never partaking of his essence. We always will be different because we are created beings. Even though our creation will be infinite, we are still created beings. So we see today John diminishing himself, telling his disciples to go and follow after Christ, realizing that his time is pretty close to an end, because very shortly he will be arrested, and then while being arrested, he gets executed. But John, knowing all of this, still continues to point to Christ, which is exactly, again, how we should do it in this day and age. We too should decrease that he may increase. Christ is risen. Indeed he is risen. Have a great day, and God willing, we'll see you tomorrow.